Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. We got a couple of followers this morning. Let's start with that. Ruben, welcome. Thanks for following. Gregory Stevens 420. What's up? What's up, dude? GCAD 1800 GCAD with the follow. Jimmy Simpson with the world look. Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome to the stream. This is Art Brunch, the flagship show on the travel agency. So if this is your first time tuning in, let me tell you a little bit about what we do here. The travel agency's mission is to nurture a digitally native platform that hosts contemporary art making, produces art-centered entertainment, and provides digital residencies with multimedia exhibition opportunities for emerging artists. We present contemporary art in an approachable manner and provide tools and expertise to artists to share their practice in new ways. Our live media programming cultivates unconventional audiences, promotes understanding through interaction, and provides alternative avenues for public interest and support for the arts. That's what the travel agency does, and each week Art Brunch brings a member from the contemporary art community to come on and talk about art in a casual way, and we appreciate y'all tuning in. I have a co-host that is joining me today, that joins me every day, Jake Leach. Hello, welcome.
Hello, Rick. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well this morning. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Likewise to you. Are you staying warm? Is your heart staying warm on this very chilly Midwestern day?
It is. It's actually ridiculous how cold it was last night.
Yeah. I had to go out to the car really quick last night, and I felt very Alaskan. I felt like this is what they deal with. You
Mhm.
know, the begrudgings like run to the car, get the thing that you need, and I'm clearly in one of my remote studios. I just have so many studios. I'm like the Lil Wayne of having so many studios.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, and it's
What's the
freakishly
line?
cold,
I
and I
got
just don't. I
12
don't know.
bathrooms. I can shit all day. It's some ridiculous amount of bathrooms,
I got
is what he
12.
said. Yeah.
I got 12 studios. I can stream all
Oh.
day.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
hey,
Very good.
hey.
President
So,
Linkhold, what's up? Linkhold
um,
says 0 degrees, fam. We ain't talking Celsius. I like to think that Jake has a new background because he bought another house.
bro, I'm
Uh,
just buying houses, setting up internet in those houses, streaming from them. There's no heat in here, bro, but I gotta flex on them.
well, you got the
So
beard
I
too.
gotta
The
do
beard's
what I gotta
new.
do.
So is that helping with the outdoor weather situation? There's good
It
forethought.
is.
Yeah.
If not, it's helping if for nothing else than just the people take me seriously when I talk to them outside.
Mm,
It's just people are like, okay, he's got that beard. He clearly knows what he's talking about. So,
very good.
and I shared an image on my Instagram story last night, and I definitely just look like a barista when I have my Carhartt hat on, and so I did a little quick cosplay. If you guys want to go check out my Instagram story, you can
That's some
follow me there.
IG
There's my handle
exclusive
right there.
content. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait, there it is.
There it
I
is.
I'll learn. I'll learn my cues when soon enough. So
Well, we have guests today. We've got a
we sure do.
very special Valentine's Day show for you all. Big Monstera says barista cosplay. Yeah, that's what it was. I want to
That's what it
introduce
is.
our guests today, Kelly and Alejandro. So, I think everyone's excited for them. So they sent me bios. So let's read the bios, give everyone a primer. If you're not familiar with them, you should be. Uh, Kelly Jimenez and Alejandro Franco are both Colombian artists whose primary discipline is the use of discarded materials to create highly crafted works of art. Alejandro is a multidisciplinary artist who works primarily in the arrangement of found objects, assemblages, as well as painting. Alejandro was born on October 3rd, 1982 in Medellin, Colombia. At the age of 18, he moved to Florida where he started his artistic exploration. Kelly is an experienced art director born September 5th, 1991 in Bogota, Colombia, with a demonstrated history of working in the textile industry as an art director. She moved to Florida at a young age, where she pursued her artistic career with an Associate of Arts and Science focused on fashion, apparel, production, design from the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. Focused mainly on space intervention for film sets, editorial publications, and visual concepts for set design, uses everyday objects as tools for inspiration and exploration. And this is the fun part here. I mean, it's all fun, but check this out. Due to their affinity when working together and their urgency to preserve species and our land, they've been collaborating for the past 3 years, creating a variety of works, often in the form of stop-motion animation, photography, sculptures, and lately they've been fully focused in the creation of stained glass windows made out of single-use plastic. Quote, "We are making use of the translucency and variety of colors of this material to present the audience with meticulously crafted pieces that turn a material so transient and detrimental into something of great beauty worth preserving. We are lovers of nature, and we're always finding ways to celebrate it and preserve it." Everyone, welcome Kelly and Alejandro to the show. Hello.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Welcome.
Excited to have you here.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you here. The idea came up, like, I don't even remember when the idea came up, Jake, but we were like, oh, Art Brunch is on Valentine's Day. Like, we should really do something about that and bring on two people that work collaboratively, and bring an artist couple on. And
Absolutely.
the first people that came to mind for both of us, I think, were Alejandro and Kelly. So feel super fortunate to have our first round draft pick here today.
First thought top, it's great. Ready to go.
Ruben Himmer in the chat says, "Wow, it's really them." Hi, Alejandro. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Ruben.
Love you, Ruben.
Ruben, shout out Ruben.
So
Gotta get Ruben on the show.
that's true. So yeah, I mean, next year, what are we gonna do? We already had our first round pick. Maybe
I know
things
we
will change,
peaked.
but we
This
peaked.
is it.
So started super strong.
Yeah. So to all the lovers out there, go ahead and start those couples. Start
Oh, yeah.
becoming artists together. We want you on the show next year. You
Yeah.
guys got big shoes to fill already. The show hasn't even started yet, but get ready. We're very pro love. We're all about love here on the travel agency.
If you're an artist super couple in the making, really start solidifying things this year for the opportunity at Art Brunch next year. Jake, so you knew Kelly and Alejandro previous to meeting them for Art Brunch, or reconnecting for Art Brunch, right?
Yes. Jack Garland, a former guest on our show, he and I came down to GCAD to see the American Colors photography exhibition that was going on that weekend, which was so incredible, and so many amazing artists and photographers specifically that showed then. And then there was a artist photo, so you could walk around and take photos with the fellow artists, which is so incredible. That aside, Kelly and Alejandro's work was up at that time, just around CAD as people were walking around.
Okay.
And I was just so taken with that work. And they're kind of mixing around. You guys were kind of talking to everybody, and you guys approached me about maybe taking a photo of some of your work. This beautiful globe that you guys made. And you're like, as you guys asked me, to take pictures of it. And my favorite little story about it is, then you guys made little postcards out of the images that people sent back to you. And it was just such a sweet gift to have, like, my one kind of, for me, it was one of the postcard with my image that I took of your guys' incredible work. So it was just such a meaningful little interaction that, totally, I went there for photography, and I came back with postcards. So it felt really special to have had that, and to kind of co-create that with you guys in a way. So that was really fun.
That's awesome. Thank you for participating in that. What it was is we had created this globe, which is actually right here, if you can see it.
Oh, there it is.
Huh.
Wow.
We actually turned it into a lamp now. It's a beautiful lamp at night. So what it is we had this show where we had this globe, and around Granite City, There are so many places that look in such a decay that to take a photo of the globe there will just give like a perfect idea or sensation that the globe is being not well taken care of.
Mm.
So then we just took advantage of the opportunity to have all these film photographers on the spot to take different photos, and that's how we made this composition back here with like
Oh, there they are.
there's different
There
photos.
you go. It's right there.
Fun.
And there's mine. Thank you. That's awesome.
That was that.
Oh my gosh. No, it's so brilliant. And I totally agree with you that the landscape around it just works so perfectly with your guys' work, and it just like feels like such a complete space, such a complete work with the surroundings. So it felt very special to be even part of it, even in a little space, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
In love with
Cool.
that place as soon as we saw it. The first time we went there, we were like, oh, we need to have a show here. And we were lucky to have it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the GCAD crew is definitely in the chat today. GCAD 1800 GCAD with the cat sunglass emote, also saying "Love you, Kelly and Alejandro." It is a space that's kind of in the crux of work that what your work is dealing with, and it does seem really special that you kind of found that kind of place to land, and that's where I met you all too. So I had been going there a couple of times, and every time you all were there, and we slowly just kind of got closer, and it's such an amazing space to congregate and to find just like a bit of footing. I have some analogies that I want to bring up with that later, but I'm gonna save them.
Good. It's always good to have those backed up and stored.
So we've got the first segment of this show is just a way for us to kind of start to get familiar, get in touch with our bodies, and start to connect to our world. We asked Kelly and Alejandro to provide a canned beverage of their choice, and what we ended up with, what they chose, was the Arizona Mucho Mango. And the reason that we do this is for one of our reoccurring segments, the canned crucible. So let's introduce this here. That's
It never
the
gets old.
that's the introduction to the canned crucible. So during this segment of the show, we rate a different canned beverage every week, and we rate it on a scale of 1 to 1,000 for 3 metrics. The metrics are flavor, mouthfeel, and emotion. And if y'all are ready, we can just hop into this, and we like to ceremoniously open them together. So we'll get a group pop.
Group pop.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
That was
Yes.
satisfying.
It does have, for not being like carbonated, it has a really good like pop kind of thing
It
going on.
does. It has some great sound. That's some great. Ooh. Cheers.
Now, I've never had mucho mango before.
Neither have I. I'm very novice when it comes to the Arizona tea world. And I'm also, frankly, kind of new to the world of mango. I don't know how or why, but mango has always escaped my fruit intake as a person.
Mhm.
But mango fruit smoothies have really become something that I've been very curious about and very much going after in the world. So if there's options for smoothies, I almost always go for mango these days. So to be getting into the mango Arizona tea world is very exciting. I'm very, very interested in this.
So tell
You know,
us.
something that I do.
Go ahead.
Something I do when I try a drink for the first time is I drink it and I close my eyes, and if the fruit comes to my mind, that means it's made out of like natural ingredient. Like they really use the fruit to make it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's something that happened with this.
Even though it says it's a fruit juice cocktail, and I think when it says cocktail, it doesn't have the real fruit on it, but it does taste good.
They know how to fake it really good.
Yeah.
Even if it is. Well, it says no preservatives, no artificial color, no artificial flavor. But it definitely also says from concentrate. So it's somewhere in the middle, probably.
Contains 5% juice, is what I'm seeing.
5% juice. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, which is
And
juice.
yeah, this can, which is juice. This can is beautiful. I don't know if people can see that's like kind of holographic. Like it's shiny. It's nice.
Hmm.
And this got this nice image here. This is beautiful. Rick, do we have any canned copy?
I don't think so.
I don't think that we do.
All natural.
All natural.
No
Vitamin C,
preservatives, no
antioxidant,
artificial
fortified.
color or flavor. I mean, Arizona tea can be trusted. We all know that.
Oh yeah.
And you all were telling us a little story about how
Race
you
car.
chose this. So how did you end up kind of choosing this drink for us to rate today?
Because there's not that many things in can that we like.
Mm.
So we discard so many things, and then thinking about it and like thinking really hard about it, I thought of it. I thought of Mucho Mango, and then when I told Kelly, she was excited. She's like, "Yeah, you finally found something that we actually like," and so that was that.
Not big fans of cans. Not a
No, I
can
mean,
fan,
unless
for sure.
because you didn't want to do something alcoholic, right?
Sure. Either way,
We're open to
we
it.
can't. We're open to all of it, but this is a world that we haven't explored yet. This is our first Arizona can.
Yeah.
Our first Arizona anything, and I think this is an amazing place to start.
And the
Okay.
can is beautiful.
It is.
It is. It's wonderful. It's a piece of. It's a work of art.
Okay, so let's get into it here. So I think that you all have to come up. Since this is the relationship show, you all have to agree on a number for the rating, and then that's going to be the number that you rate it for us. And we're going to start with flavor. So over to you all. What would you rate this on a scale of 0 to 1,000 for flavor? And tell us a little bit about the flavor of it.
Is this like in the range of canned beverages, or is this like,
Ooh.
or this applies to every single beverage in the world?
We keep it kind of loose. We keep it loose. So I think that's something that you decide.
Okay. So from 1 to 1,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me try it again.
800, yeah.
800.
Sounds good.
That's a high rating. That's good.
800.
It is
Very
tasty.
high. I
Very
like that.
tasty. Jake, what do you got?
I know my number is going to be high. Just how high will it be? Because for flavor, I agree. Like I closed my eyes, Alejandro. I did what you said. And I taste mango. That is what I taste. So they have gotten that down. I'm gonna go 800 as well. It feels really good.
Okay.
This flavor is really, really nice. I like it a lot.
Skate Mom in the chat says, I like how seriously Alejandro is taking this. I feel very secure in following his recommendations.
We really appreciate when people take it seriously. Rick, how about you?
It's really good. It's really good. I mean, I know I've never had it before, but it's a nostalgic drink for me. I feel I think maybe it's just the can, just the form factor of it, which reminds me of, the watermelon Arizona.
The tall boys, the big boys.
The tall boys, yeah, the little man tall boy.
We got the vocal rust going today already.
Yeah, working it out here. Working it out.
Yes.
Should have done my vocal exercises this morning.
Yes. Me.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time thinking if I'm going to go more or less than what you all rated. I think I'm gonna go with a 750. Just a touch less. I think 800's a little strong for me.
Okay. Appreciate that honesty.
We're having a slight internet issue.
Rick, I think you're frozen for me.
Mm-hmm.
Does happen sometimes.
But it's frozen on our end.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can hear you guys, but
Okay, you're back.
okay.
All right.
Yep.
We'll work that out somehow, someday.
We are back. We had like a little pause there.
Yep.
So the next part is the next rating is mouthfeel. So I send it over to you all just to rate how it feels going down, smooth. There's no bubbles, so that's something, most often there are bubbles. So we'll see how this rating goes.
I feel that's a great beverage for a hot day, a hot summer day.
But I don't think there's anything special with like how it feels in the mouth, like compared to other drinks. So I'll just give it a 500.
Yeah, I agree with that
500?
number.
You agree? Okay.
Okay.
That's solid, middle of the road.
Yeah. I will say it's a little more syrup-y than I would like it to be. But I also think that that's part of the fun of Arizona, is that it's like, is Arizona, despite it being called Arizona, is it made in America? It is made in Woodbury, New York. That doesn't make any sense. But
You can't call a drink New York.
yeah, New York, Arizona.
You never want to. I would never drink a drink called New York. Hey, pass me that New York.
Yo, hey, I'm drinking tea. I think that it has the right amount of syrupiness, though, for an American beverage. This is what I would expect from a gigantic can of mango tea in America. So it's what I expected, which is often a good thing with mouthfeel of a beverage, I think. So I'm going to go with 650.
650.
Because I still don't necessarily like the syrup, but it was expected, so I can't get in trouble for that. Rick, what are you thinking?
Linkold says Jake is one of those people that say syrup instead of syrup.
Syrup? As opposed to what? Syrup? Linkhold?
Syrup.
Syrup? Scissorp? What am I supposed to say?
How do you say it?
Leave it to the linguist to give me trouble about it.
You say syrup?
Syrup. What are you saying?
Syrup.
Syrup. Kelly and Alejandro, what do you guys say?
I have an accent, so syrup.
Yeah, you get a pass.
Sounds right to me. Yeah, that sounds right. Whatever. Link hold in the chat. Okay, whatever.
Mouth feels
Rick, how about you?
pretty good. Yeah, somewhere between. I mean, it's a real wet drink.
A wet drink? I've never heard you describe one of these drinks as wet.
Yeah, I know. This is an especially wet drink. For being a tea, there's
What does that mean?
there's no astringency in it at all. There's no it's very refreshing. I think it's crushable, but
Okay.
we'll get to that later. And
We'll get to that.
I'm into it. Yeah, I think it's a little syrupy for me, as well.
Okay.
But I definitely enjoy it more than you all. I'm gonna run 750 again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
Whoa, okay. Across the board for Rick.
Yeah, real
All
wet.
right.
I like wet drinks personally. The
Big fan of wet drinks over here.
final metric that we rate these on is emotion. So, very, very clear criteria there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll bring back what I was just saying at the beginning. That is like when I drink something for the first time and I close my eyes, I imagine like the fruit very physically. Like maybe a mango that you're peeling it off, and then you see how those hairs are coming out of the mango. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
very physicality about the fruit. And if that happens, that means there's like some of that fruit in it.
Mm.
So I think that the
soul of it
emotion
is
is
there.
really. But what
For
would
sure.
you say?
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you. So if we have to give it a number, What would you say?
Let's say 800 again.
800?
Yeah.
Let's go. All right.
That's a good
Very
emotion.
good.
Jake, how are your
I,
emotions this morning?
My emotions are very high. Kelly, you'd said it tastes like a hot summer day, and it is the complete opposite of that today. But I feel warmed by
Mhm.
this drink and by this conversation, and this beverage is taking me there. So I'm gonna go 800 as well because I yearn for the summer in this drink, but it's taking me there as close as I can, even though I'm like freezing in this room. It is very cold, and also this can is very cold too. But it's taken me there. I feel good.
Reminds me of Florida, probably, because I had so much mangoes there. So that's why I
Oh man,
read about
absolutely,
some days.
Yum.
absolutely. We'll have to do a show from Florida sometime, Rick. We'll have
Oh yeah. We'll be snowbirds.
to do a show.
We'll go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Ruben
Rick,
is
your emotions?
saying great points, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It's very summery. It's so summery. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had moments of forgetting the the current weather predicament, and I don't think it doesn't go with it.
Yep.
Like I was driving in the car the other day, and I was having a really hard time finding like music for the coldest weather that I remember, and it took me a while,
Yeah.
and I finally found something. Don't worry. But a lot of things didn't go with the cold. This goes with the summer, but it also goes with the winter, and we can
think
really appreciate it for that. I'm going
Absolutely.
950.
950. Whoa.
Yeah. No, I'm
okay.
feeling good. And the last thing that we ask is a simple yes or no question. Is it crushable?
What is?
The drink. Like could you crush it? Could you is it chuggable?
Just slam these down. Just take it down.
If you want to, if you like, if you have the disposition, I guess.
It's pretty smooth.
If you're into that kind of thing. Yes.
I think it's pretty crushable.
I'm going with yes. I think it's very crushable.
I don't
Absolutely.
necessarily want to, but
Yeah.
I had to slow myself down on my sips a couple of times already.
Me too. I was like, okay, I want to let this last for a while, enjoy it, because I could very easily chug this thing.
There you go.
Sure.
All right, it's been decided. Thank you all for rating that, and I'm going to tabulate these numbers and send it over to you, Jake, for your Astronook today.
Fantastic. Well, so this is a very fun occasion because typically we only have one guest, obviously, but now that we have two, and let alone a couple, which is so fun, I get to do two little Astronooks today. And of course, if I was to do a true deep dive and do have a combination love chart, that would you'll have to find us on Club Stars Align, our other show on the travel agency. But that's where you get real in depth with the astrology with my mom. So we'll have to get on that sometime. But so Kelly here is a Virgo and Alejandro is a Libra. So what I typically do is first let everyone know what rappers in our world each sign. So Kelly, for Virgo, some of the famous rappers that have the same sign as you are Lil Yachty, Lil Xan, Playboy Cardi, Wiz Khalifa, Famous Dex, Lil Tecca, Flo Rida, Florida. There we go. 2 Chainz, Ugly God, Ludacris. There's just there's a lot of Virgo rappers. Nas, Sheck West, Skepta. Okay, I'll pick like one more. Let's see. Actually, I'll just stop there. So a lot of great Virgo rappers. Love to see that. And Alejandro, for you, for Libra rappers, we have, excuse me, Cardi B, NBA YoungBoy, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Lil Wayne, aforementioned, 21 Savage, ASAP Rocky, Roddy Ricch. Wow. Okay, Libras are. T.I., T-Pain, Rich Homie Quan. Who else do we have? Jermaine Dupri and Jeezy, ASAP Ferg. A lot of ASAP folks here. Yeah. So that's kind of the energy you guys are bringing to the world. You've got these rappers behind you. These are parts of your crew. Um, so what also we like to do in the show is to kind of also analyze a little bit about what like each sign means exactly. So Kelly, as a Virgo, you are an Earth sign. The quality of your sign is mutable, so you kind of go with the flow. You're not like real stuck in your ways, and you're not like blowing the world up. You're just kind of going with the flow, but you're Earth, so you're very like down to earth. It's hard to not use Earth Earth language when saying it. Um, and then for Libra, Alejandro, you are an air sign. So you are very flowy, but you're cardinal quality, which is to say you've got leadership energy. You like to go to it. So it makes sense that those two would flow together very well. Um, Virgo, for Kelly, some of the strengths and weaknesses, strength and weakness. Strengths are you're loyal, analytical, kind, hardworking, and practical. Says weaknesses are maybe that you're shy, you worry, overcritical of yourself or others, and you're all work and no play. Whereas Libra's strengths and weaknesses are you're cooperative, diplomatic, gracious, fair-minded, and social. Whereas a weakness potentially could be indecisive, avoid confrontation, might carry a grudge, and maybe self-pity. So we've kind of mixed up the way the show runs, and so some of those qualities what we like to ask artists is, do you feel like those qualities have shown up in your art practice at all? So just to kind of briefly remind you, Kelly, we have some words for you, which are loyal, shy, analytical, hardworking. Libra, we have cooperative, diplomatic, indecisive, might carry a grudge, self-pity. Any of those words coming to mind for your art practices, both individually or as a couple?
Well, in my case, I do feel that I'm very shy, and I have always been working with people. Like, I work for a textile company, and most of my work was doing in collaboration with a team. And I think that since I'm shy, it's very helpful to work with other people when I'm
Hmm.
working on something creative.
So you've enjoyed that more, as like anytime you can collaborate, you like that better than maybe working by yourself.
I'm not the only one that needs to speak up, you know. I have like a team
Yeah,
putting things together. So yeah.
absolutely. Alejandro, how about you?
Well, out of the things that you say, the thing that stuck in my mind was that you were saying that Kelly is all work and no play. And I'm like,
Possibly.
this is kind of crazy that that's in her astrological sign, because this is I see this as a positive thing, because I feel
Yeah.
like her relationship, she like imposes a lot of discipline. I mean, in the sweetest way possible,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but she always wants to be doing something productive, which is great. And so that, for some reason, out of the things you say, that was what I mean. I heard that, and I couldn't
Yeah.
hear anything else after that. I was just stuck thinking about that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you felt like that you don't feel like you shared, or that you approached life in that way prior to knowing Kelly, or making with Kelly? Is it something that was an adjustment for you?
It's definitely been an improvement in my life. I mean, the fact that I'm way more productive being with her. Like, I think I waste way more time when I was by myself.
Mm.
Absolutely.
That it really resonates with me. My girlfriend Tiffany. One of the things that would happen all the time is I'd be like, I need a day off, and then we would have like a day off, and then the day off would come, and she would be like, okay, it's our day off. Like, what are we gonna do? And I was like, what do you mean? What are we gonna do? Like,
It's off mean.
I don't do things on off days. It's like, no, but like, what are we gonna do? And it's like, I'm not gonna do anything. And something really funny happened last week. Is her midterms were coming to an end, and she was like, tomorrow I'm just gonna have an off day. And I've been like working a lot, and she's been helping me kind of get into the zone. And then the off day came, and I was like, oh, Tiffany, it's your off day. What are we gonna do? And then I was like, oh
Who have I become?
no.
I am that person now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and it's funny, Alejandro. Rick's partner is also a Libra, so you guys share that similar energy. And what's so interesting too about this, and I always love the way this happens because there's always these little jokes in our show that it's like we say certain things are certain traits or strengths or weaknesses,
Hmm.
but like avoids confrontation. Libra, maybe that's a positive. You shouldn't. Maybe you should avoid confrontation. Willing to carry a grudge. Maybe that's you're just honest with yourself. That these things that come can be viewed as like maybe being shy is actually okay. We don't maybe need to share everything. That these weaknesses are
But I,
absolute strengths too.
but I don't know if avoiding confrontation is a positive thing.
Mm.
I could see it going both ways because I could see it being like you avoid it too much, but also if you fight too much, that can be if you're popping
If you're
off left, right, and center,
seeking
can also
confrontation.
be bad. Yeah.
From like past experiences,
Uh-huh.
I always saw confrontation as a positive because, I mean, confrontation maybe can be seen as a violent act, but it can also be just like a way to really channel a situation that is negative and that needs to be addressed.
Mm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think it's
I
good to
completely
not
agree.
avoid it,
And
but
see, me as a
also
Pisces.
to not seek it. I find that.
Right. Yeah. Not seek it out, but when it comes to deal with it, absolutely,
Yeah.
I completely agree.
I've got a couple of things
Well,
from
and
the
it's really
chat
funny.
here.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
1800 GCAD says Kelly has no weaknesses! Exclamation point. Uh,
We agree. We agree.
Gregory Stevens 420 says I love you, Kelly and Alejandro. So,
Who is that?
I don't know. Gregory Stevens.
Thanks, guys, for the love.
Shout out to Greg. And Skate Mom says, "You guys are so cute." It's gonna be
Yeah,
a
this
mushy
show-
love fest on this show
Yeah,
today.
it's gonna be a mushy show today. for
More than
sure.
it usually is.
Well, yeah. So we kind of, as we said, we kind of fade from this into kind of like the art practice. And Rick, I'm curious, how we'd want to structure this, but like, I guess like kind of Rick, you tend to ask about like the beginnings, and it's always funny because I feel like we ask about like the childhood beginnings. And I'm kind of curious, like the beginnings of you guys creating art together, maybe.
Exactly.
How did that all begin?
Well, I feel like the first thing that we did that was creative together was right after we met. Kelly had this suit that she had made out of like I guess Christmas lights,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a suit that when she put on, she looked like a walking constellation.
Mm.
Oh wow.
So we will go around Miami taking photos of her in like different in metro stations or in like different places around downtown and in the city. And I feel like that was like the very, very first creative thing that we did together. And I think we sent you some photos of that. And I think right after that, maybe a couple of years after, that's some of the photos that we did.
Love that.
So it was just like a long exposure where she will do like this dance. And there's a really cool one that I sent you that it was like right in front of a pool. That one you see like how she's dancing, and it's just like long exposure images that this is reflected on a pool, so that's why you see the reflection in the bottom. And stopped seeing Kelly for like a couple of years, and we never saw each other again. And I always longed for Kelly. I always wanted to see her again. And one time I had a project with this other guy, this performance that we're gonna do at this really cool place in Miami. And the guy who lives he's also a Colombian guy who lives in Switzerland, and he know.
Add something to it. And we met this guy. We were not talking like for about 2 years, and we met this guy. This guy just went to Miami just for one night, and we met him the same day, but in different hours, just briefly.
Wow.
And then we both knew a guy that was living in Switzerland, and then we can go.
So it was very circumstantial, the fact that this guy lives in Switzerland. We had a friend in common. We hadn't been seeing each other, and then he comes to Miami, and this friend that we have in common introduced us both to this guy on the same day in different occasions, right? So So then I like stay in touch with this guy because like I don't know, the guy was really interesting and he's a cool artist. So we applied together to have this show, and we got it. So we were gonna have the show, and we were gonna like some aspects of the show had to do with stop motion animation.
Mm.
And then Kelly kind of had some experience on it, so he mentioned that maybe we should get Kelly on board so that she can help us out with the stop motion animation. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so she got on board, and he was in Switzerland, and I was just with Kelly working on the stop motion animations, which I think I sent you a video also of some of the stop motions that we did for that show, and then we just stayed together after that.
Yeah, so there was that break. I think to a question that I have about the long exposures that you shared with us is, so it was like this performative work that Kelly was doing, and then did you all have the idea together to start taking these long exposure photographs of it, or Alejandro, were you kind of like the photographer in that, like capturing these like performative images? Was that how the relationship was?
I did this suit for a performance that was called Infinito,
Okay.
and I wanted like to show the silhouette of the body like with constellations, and Alejandro saw the suit and he was like, oh, we should do something with this suit. And then I went to his house with the suit, and then we just started doing long exposures and see what comes out of it, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
But part of the idea was I had this was in my studio in Miami, so I had this big CD out of electronic circuits that I had made, and the original idea that I had was to have her kind of dancing how she is in this photo
Mm-hmm.
in front of the city, so that it would look like a star sky
Mm.
kind of, but it wasn't very successful.
Absolutely.
That's why the photo
Oh.
ended up so the photo ended up being cropped at this, and I was cool with that.
Yeah, and this, I mean, it's a amazing place to kind of first see how things started. You know, like there was this thing that Kelly was doing, and you were doing your thing. You had this microchip city, and these like disparate artistic ideas kind of came together, but didn't quite work. And then on one hand, you have someone as the performer and someone as the documenter, which I feel is like a very common way that people interplay together in relationships. Like often one is more performative and one is better with documentation. And I see that kind of in these beginnings.
It feels very collaborative, like in the truest sense, you know. Like Kelly, you brought this whole project, and then Alejandro, you're coming through to be like, let's take this to a whole other place, you know. So it's two really created to be one, and I think it's funny that you said that it didn't really work actually, and I feel like not
Yeah.
many artists like are that open about that. So I appreciate you saying that, just being like, we tried it and honestly it didn't work, but this is where it started, which also has me a sneaking suspicion was like, maybe you knew it wouldn't work and you just wanted to spend time with Kelly. Is that how that works? Is that how it works?
I think there's plenty of beauty in failure, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Precisely. Just like the confrontation you were saying, it's like, you know, there's success,
think
there's things you can grow from.
I think if we were to embrace failure more, people will be bolder, you know.
I
Mm.
agree. I completely agree. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of things that people commonly say about failure and trying to embrace it. You know, like Edison learned 1,000 ways to not make a light bulb, right? But like,
Right.
I think that distills it too far. And like the process of having an idea of how something is gonna work, and then it not working that way does require effort from us to readjust. It does, like, it is like a muscle or a skill that we can cultivate.
You know what else I think? I think that when you work quietly, then you can fail and nobody will ever find out, and it's totally fine. You know what I mean? And then to speak about failure when like this happened in 2000 what 16 maybe.
16.
So to talk about the failures of 2016 is much easier than the failures that happened yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think like working quietly, like how some people they share every single aspect of their process and what's happening today and what I did today. I'll be super afraid to do that because I don't want to share my failures when they're so recent. You know what I mean?
Having some distance away from it can be important, but it's just interesting because I think some artists do thrive off of that. They actually like to just be a complete open book, and to just kind of let that happen. But I think too, like if it's almost too public, you couldn't learn the lesson privately. That like if you failed and kind of have this moment within just yourself, that can be possibly even stronger if it's just kept within yourself. Rick, I feel like this is very much like something you would think about. Like this
Oh yeah.
conversation to me feels very Rick right now. So I'm gonna
I do think about it a lot, and
uh,
what my perspective on it right now is that you may be surprised uh, how well received some of the things you deem failures are. How I'm in the practice of sharing more and more about my life and about my process, and every kind of step of that way, I've been met with people who have been accepting of me, which is really important for me to do. I think that I am more closed off, or I had been more closed off than most people are. So I needed to do some of that work to like reveal myself, to allow myself to be engaged in relationships with other people. But now I'm kind of really into it. I'm really into like showing that most of the stuff doesn't make the final cut, and like most of the things that I do are tests. But then sometimes something really special happens where if I had a day or a week to think about something that I made, I feel less good about it, and I think of it more as a failure than if I share it and say I made this today, and that's just what I made today. And there's no way to like fail in making something. I mean, you made
yeah.
it, so there's no way to really fail there. So yeah, I could talk about that for a really long time, but yeah, I've been embracing amping up, kind of increasing the amplitude and the frequency of what I'm sharing, and I haven't like, people haven't gotten annoyed with me yet, so I've been appreciative of that.
I also feel like as you were saying, like sometimes you do something, you feel really good about it, then 4 days later you feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Well, then 4 days later, I feel like those type of things that you felt so good about it on the spot, you should put it away, and then look at it 2 years from now,
Mm.
and it will be beautiful again. Because that's that 4 day time span. I mean, not time span, but that 4 day. I mean, after 4 days, is just like a very critical point where you become very critical of yourself and your work.
It is.
But
Yeah. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
But I feel like if you give it some time and then you look at it as something that you did in the past, you will see the beauty of it. You know what I mean?
I do.
Absolutely.
I noticed that too. I don't know what it is about that like post that 1 week, that like 1 to 2 weeks is usually about how long it lasts. Is I
The next morning,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, we're coming up on our first break here, and I think we're really starting to get into it. But I want to give us some space to take our first break. That way we can come back, carry this energy back into the show, and get really deep into the work that you both make separately and some of the ways that I see it coming together. And I think we're all really excited to hear your perspectives on how these things come together. So we'll see you all in a moment. Thank you, everyone, for watching, talking, texting, for being here today, for being in the chat room, for asking questions. If you have a favorite Arizona tea that you like, I saw Tea Green Girl said the raspberry one. You can drop it in the chat while we're gone. If you have any questions for Kelly and Alejandro that you want me to intersperse into the next part of the segment, take some time to think about those. Drop them in the chat whenever they feel good, and I'll bring them up in a time that they feel appropriate. We're going to take a short 10-minute break here. It's 11 o'clock even, so we'll be back at about 11:10. And in the meantime, enjoy, maybe get another cup of coffee, and we'll see you soon. Hello, everyone. Thanks for hanging out across the break. Good to see you here. We are going to get back into the conversation with Alejandro and Kelly in a moment. If you're enjoying the stream, if this is your first time watching, a way that you can really support the stream is by following. It's free. You can follow us on Twitch, or if you're interested, you can follow us on YouTube, where we have archives of these videos, plus some other new cool video stuff coming out. So definitely check in there at some point if you'd like. Let's go back to the conversation. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you had a nice little rejuvenating break. Where we left off is we were talking. We were just kind of getting into the artistic beginnings of your relationship and some of the work that you did in different phases of the beginning of your relationship. So one of the things that I noticed in your work and I wanted to talk about was again about that interplay between you two. So previous to the break, we talked about, this performative aspect and then this documenting process as kind of how you first came together. But then one of the interesting things that I noticed, and let me go over here, is so Kelly, you have done lots of textile work, and the image that jumps out to me is this one here, just because of the colors. I don't know if I like this one or this one better, but as far as like textiles go, I think this one kind of expresses more clearly these details and this orientation of these various textures and textiles. So you've worked with textiles a lot, and it seems like that requires a lot of craft to work with. Like, it takes a lot of time to make any of these things. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I went to school for fashion design.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not into fashion, but I felt that I will learn like a lot of craftsmanship through fashion. So I started I went to school for that, and then I started working for this textile company that it's most for quilting.
Okay.
And actually, the first time that I came to St. Louis was for a quilting convention.
Oh.
And that's how I knew about St. Louis. And I remember that time I went to the City Museum and to Lomeyer, and I fell in love with the city. And so working with this company, I started like doing art direction for them.
Mm-hmm.
They have like, they release 2 lookbooks each month, and I was doing the art direction for those lookbooks. And then I got hired for this picture that you are seeing on the screen. It's a music video. So I was doing like the costumes for these kids that were part of the music video. So it was, a lot of work.
It looks like it.
Of craftsmanship, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of craftsmanship involved in that. And then so I wanted to connect that to, if we go here, let's see, let's have it load. So if we go to some of Alejandro's early work, or maybe not early work, but one of the this is one of the things that jumped out to me, because this bird theme continues to come up. But we start here, and with this piece in particular, it's a broken plate, right? And it's assembled into what I think is the form of the bird. But if any of that's not accurate, you can tell me. So then I see this work kind of in a different space of like, this is like a very direct action potentially of either finding a broken plate or breaking a plate and then turning that back into kind of like a realized form. And then I wanted to connect that to one more thing as an entry point into your work together, because then they come, and this is recent stuff, but then if you look at the collaborative work, then we get to this place where you can see those ideas merge. is that like there's this discarded or this like broken material, but then also it's met with this extremely high level of craftsmanship that reminds me a lot of these textiles. So I just wanted to present that to our viewers, but then also ask you if that's the way that it kind of evolved. Alejandro, did Kelly bring in a lot of this like high fidelity craft, and then like you're potentially bringing in these like alternative materials, but I see him really crystallize in this work as this merging between you two.
That's awesome. Thank you for saying that. I think it's really hard from like our own perspective to see those type of connections, and I'm really glad you are doing it, and I'm noticing it now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is the level of craft that you all engage in with each other in these collaborative works, is that Alejandro, how do you see, because we know Kelly has this really deep history in potentially like arduous and super time consuming construction. Is that something that you've explored in your work, or is that something that you've explored mostly with Kelly in these collaborative works?
I explored it on my own as well. Like that's one of the things that I appreciate the most in art making is craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Like living it at all. You know what I mean? For some reason, that's something that I really appreciate and I really like. And going back to the Broken Bird.
Oh yeah.
See, this is like that series that I call Urban Resemblance. This is something I did at a art residency in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's called Elsewhere Museum, and what it is like it's a wonderful, magical place where it's a whole building that used to be a thrift store and it was closed for a long time. It's like a thrift store, a huge building full of amazing stuff from the 80s and 90s and 70s, and so you go there. So they turned this into an art residency. So it's full of stuff, and everything that's there is considered collection. And when you go there as an artist to do the residency, you can only use the stuff that is there. You cannot bring anything in or take anything out.
Wow.
And they have so many wonderful toys and fabrics and things. Everything was beautiful. Everything had a vintage look to it. Everything was like so the type of aesthetic that I'm always looking for, right? But I'm always also trying to use what is the most discarded out of all. Yeah. So among all these wonderful things they had a bucket of broken china, because everything they have is considered collection. So even the stuff that breaks still have some potential, So they keep it. They don't get rid of absolutely anything. Like sometimes you have like dust coming out of the ceiling and they will put it in these little containers and label it. You know what I mean? It's like they take it so serious and it's so inspiring. So yeah, so to turn these broken dishes into flying creatures was like the most fascinating thing that I could find. And I ended up doing like a life-size diorama. And this is just a detail of it. You see another bird. I don't know if you see it there, but
I do. Yeah, I see that.
Like little wing is like he's like kind of picking his skin.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And actually, when I met Alejandro, he was working in these animals for a show that were made out of discarded materials, and the amount of craftsmanship that these animals had was amazing. And that was one of the things that I was like, oh my God, who's this guy? Look at this guy.
That's good. Well, it's good to know that, because I can see the connection so clearly from the work that you do, Kelly, and into the craftsmanship and the weaving of those other parts. So it's really good to know that that's something that you both had coming in, and then it seems like it just like went to a whole nother level, like with as we move back to these collaborations, like these are like on a whole nother level of what I think of as craftsmanship.
First one we did. That's the very first one we did, and it was so much. I mean, we have the first one. Yes, it's 4 feet by 8 feet.
Unbelievable.
I would be freaking out the whole time I was making that. If that was the first one that I was making, I'd be like, what are we doing here? We are making something so special. Holy crap.
So, yeah.
It took us a lot of time.
It took us a lot of
Yeah.
time, but when we started working on this was when when we just moved to St. Louis, and that was during winter time,
Mm.
and we both were jobless, and we didn't have a car. It was winter, so we didn't have anything. We didn't know anyone, so we started working on this, and it was like a great time to do something with so much detail on it.
Where did the inspiration for
Absolutely.
beginning with stained glass come from for you? Is there any history that you have with that, or did it have to do with arriving in St. Louis or anything?
In a way, that's like I feel that I always hated plastic. So even when I used to work with found objects, I will never use a found object that was made out of plastic.
Okay.
Mm.
For some reason, I always found plastic to be like, I guess, the perfect archetype of everything that is wrong with humans.
Yeah.
It's like that represents everything that is wrong with humans in a physical form is plastic.
Hmm.
But when we were in St. Louis, we had just moved here. We brought very few things. So we're in this tiny little apartment. We didn't have any art supplies or anything. Just had all this plastic of the material of the like food that we were consuming,
Hmm.
and that started to like gain potential as if it was the only thing in the house. So we just keep collecting this plastic, and then we saw that the translucency of it was really cool, and the fact that it comes in so many different colors, and also like the typography or the graphic design that's part of it helped so much with like the painting process of like making these stained glass pieces. Like right now we have this wonderful palette of all these plastics that we have collect over the months, and it's so cool to have like all these different colored plastics. So when you're painting, I mean, we consider this painting when you are like working at it. You want to find the right tone. So
Absolutely.
to have a large palette is so helpful.
Mm.
It's so interesting because
You want to
I
find
like,
the right tone.
anecdotally, I loved
So to
that
have a
there was
large
like I could
palette
see
is
that it was a Schnucks bag. From a
it's
St. Louis perspective, it was like, oh, that's so fun. Like that it's not just like a Target bag, which Target's everywhere. Schnucks is only here. And I'm so curious, like, how like how how purposeful are you guys about that? And I'm also curious too, like if you were to make this art in any other city, would it mean the same thing? Would you try to find plastics of like local places to kind of draw that in, or is that just kind of happenstance that you guys just happen to live here, you had the bags, you use just Schnucks bag?
I think that, as you said, I think that happens very naturally, and that's the beauty of it, also, right? The
Yeah,
fact that it's locally, it's got like all that local component to it.
absolutely.
We just said because of the color, maybe probably we're just looking like what color works best, and sometimes we try to avoid like showing the logos, but it's also cool when people are looking at the work and they recognize these logos and they realize like, okay, plastic is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of devastating in that way too, because I mean, especially during the pandemic, like you couldn't use your reusable bags, which is something I would do a lot. And, so there I would try to at least get paper or something, but sometimes they just have plastic. So I feel like I've personally been revisiting plastic bags myself, and I feel probably a lot of people have too during this time. Uh, when I tried to not have it at all in my life. And then, everyone has that big collection typically that from what I understand, like under your sink of the big bag of plastic bags, and try to use them as like, trash bags for your bathroom or something like that. But I think like that's what was so stunning to me again, just from the first time I saw it was not just so much of the like, oh, haha, look, it's a Schnucks bag. That's so funny, but more like I just think like the devastation of it, like you say, but then also like there is beauty in this Schnucks bag, in this material, in the fact that it's the red font that Schnucks uses of their graphic design on a kind of a tan bag, tan plastic that they tend to use, and um I think it's just really striking that the idea that the brand identity on it would actually bring a whole new level to it as well.
It like brings accountability, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
I
that
love, yeah.
that brings us to a question from GCAT in the chat. Can you talk about your intentions for your viewers' experience? How do you want them to feel when they see your work? And is there a call to action for them?
Yeah, I mean that is the call to action, is like how much time we spend on this thing. You look at this thing, and that is how, in a way, that is like I mean, it's an analogy for like how much needs to be done in order to have a better and more sustainable place, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, look, we are invested in it 100%, and that should be like the inspiring point of like, what is it that you can do?
Yeah, yeah. To fix this problem, this is what's required. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I did want to show the one image from this one at GCAD too, because in this one there is you can kind of see with the pointer here, right in the light blue, there's a huge Best Buy logo that's eclipsed by these smokestacks, right? But like it is the full logo, and like the craft is undeniable, and it's to start to address this issue. I do really love that, I have to say, to address this issue, like to transmute the plastic bag, like the piece of trash, to transmute it into something beautiful took you all what I have to imagine to be tens to hundreds of hours, and that kind of was a series of maybe like 10 pieces of plastic. That is like a small drop in the bucket of the amount of that material that's existing. So yeah, I'm just affirming here. I'm just affirming
Yeah.
how cool that I think that is. Thanks for
Well,
the
and
question, GCAT.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
I also think it's so interesting to like think about value, because like you said, like plastic in some ways is the most evil thing in the world, and it's the worst thing that humans ever made. And our oceans are being destroyed by it. I mean, you name it. But like you guys have created this thing now that has immense value, and it kind of has that, like, it is beautiful though because it's made with the worst thing in the world. So I'm curious about this. Like, how do you guys source your stuff? Like, where do you get your plastic bags from? Is it just from everyday life? Have people like given you their plastic bags? I'm sure it's a question you get every time, but just for the sake of this conversation, where are you guys getting your bags primarily, or how are you rather maybe?
Well, at the beginning, we started like just saving all the plastic that we were using, and
Yeah.
we had like at first we just had like a small box full of it, and then we started like just to walk through the alleys and look at in the recycle bin to see what we found. And Alejandro was doing that part. I was just with him, and
Let
then
him do the dirty work.
saving-
Yeah.
we started by saving them, and then like a few people got involved and they started saving their plastic for us, but then we just had so much that
I had a feeling. Yeah.
anyone so right now we're just saving our plastic. We don't have any more people involved because we can keep up with the amount of plastic that we have.
People that were collecting it got super excited because now they had a purpose for those things. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so funny how we went from like, okay, help us collect as much plastic as you can. That was like our first approach, right? And then we're like, no, look, we're looking for like certain tones. Like we already have a lot of blue, we already have a lot of red. We're looking, if you find like, and then like the people, they were like, okay, yeah. So now they were saving, and then it got to a point where like, look, you guys are collecting more than we can create, than we can use. So we got everybody on a standby now.
Yeah.
Guys, do not send it. Everyone out there.
And we have a great amount, but it's really good to know that these people are on a standby. Maybe one day we get this massive project and we need them all to come back on duty. And
Right.
it would be great to have them back,
Well, we'll do all we can at the travel agency to let everyone know. Like, hey guys, Kelly and Andro, they need their stuff. Get them their bags whenever you're ready, for sure.
I can see that getting out of hand so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that what you nailed it in that, like, it gave people direction. It gave people some like meaning they could attach to this waste. Like I think that we are all in this like somewhat like traumatized space, or this anxious or trauma like space of like knowing that what we're throwing away is like damaging, but our ability to combat that is like very, very limited by, in my opinion, the corporations, the corporate structures who are saving money by packaging things in plastic. Like there aren't, I cannot buy the items that my life requires not inside of plastic, right? And then we're all kind of dealing with this like social anxiety of like, okay, yeah, it's going really poorly, like things are getting really bad, and everybody's saying like, oh, this is getting really bad. And even like ideas around recycling plastic have come up in recent times as something that's like of questionable value. It's not what it was when I was in high school, like recycle and everything's going to be okay. It's like recycle and like maybe a little bit's going to be a little bit better. But then you give somebody like the opportunity to use this anxious material in their lives to go towards this like beautiful greater good. And then, yeah, I mean, I can see kind of like this outpouring of people wanting to connect this anxiety or this fear that they have about the way that they're interacting with the world into something that's important.
The particular plastic that we use, which is like what they use mostly in like shopping bags and packaging material, that doesn't get recycled.
I see.
They only recycle the thick stuff, like the gallon of milk or like the bottle of Coke, I guess, or I don't know. Like, but this type of plastic, they don't. There's nowhere to go.
Aluminum is recyclable. That's why it's the canned crucible, not the bottled gauntlet.
Yeah.
Is that why you guys chose a can?
Yes,
I
definitely.
I love aluminum. Aluminum.
Big aluminum fans.
I
over here.
yeah, I really do. All my paintings on are aluminum. I just bought an aluminum wallet because
Oh, let's see it.
aluminum.
Very cool.
Yeah. Because like you can recycle aluminum really well. Cars are made out of aluminum, so you know when a car goes to the junkyard, they just crush it and turn it back into, I mean, they turn it into cans, right? That's kind of what I love about it. I got a couple of questions in the chat here. Gregory Stevens 420 says, "Isn't an art gallery an STL that's owned by the owners of a single-use plastic company?" I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not familiar with that either.
Is
Where's
it?
it at? We need that team.
Is this some subliminal shunt on an art gallery that we're not familiar with?
Maybe.
Send
I
us the
don't know.
deets, Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
T Green Girl in the chat has a question. Greg says, "I believe the Kranzbergs."
Oh, interesting. Uh-oh.
It's
We're
getting spicy.
We're getting spicy in here. We're starting drama. We're not avoiding conflict. Exactly.
Yeah. I can neither confirm nor deny.
We don't know. We don't have the facts. So.
But yeah, I think that's something to look into.
We'll look into it for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, especially in the arts, like we do need to hold each other accountable. I mean, I don't know what, we're not the ones who are making the big like physical societal changes, but if we're not living by morality, that's what the hell are we doing? Greg says, "I'm an Aries. What can I say?"
Typical Aries. Thanks, Greg.
I've got a question from T Green Girl here. She says, "I hopped in a little late, but I'm curious. How thick is the plastic when they're in the window? Curious if it's still malleable or if it's melted into something thicker."
No, it's glue. It's glued to paper.
Okay.
So this particular window that you're seeing is outdoors. So because it's outdoors, it's got two plexiglass on each, it's sandwiched between two plexiglass so that it can withstand the elements.
So like this one is attached
That one,
to
that one is just plastic glue onto paper.
oh, because
So
it's the
what-
first one. Yeah, too.
Yeah.
Lots of
so
learning
the
there.
black, but the
The
black
stroke.
lines, the stroke,
Uh-huh.
is paper.
Oh, okay.
Paper. Okay.
Oh, I see. Wonderful.
Got you. Well, and
We
Go
got some hot drama in the chat here.
uh-oh.
Ken Kransberg serves as the chairman of Trico Braun, the industry's largest distributor and designer of glass and plastic containers. Former president and chairman of the National Association of Container Distributors. So, what's up, NCAD?
Wow.
Is there an email or something?
Yeah. I mean, I think
Well-
it's interesting. What's that?
We'll spread the drama. We'll share the tea after for sure. We'll get hot links out there for everyone.
Thanks for the
Um,
research.
Yeah. Well, and I just have a question for you guys, and we don't have to keep talking about the materials the whole time, even though it is so special to talk about. Is like, at first, like, I'm kind of thinking like, oh, like, well, like they would have to become basically like their own like mini recycling, space. Like everyone's gonna bring them all their bags, and then they have their own mountain. And it's like, well, it's unfair for them to have to deal with all of that material. But then I was like, well, at the same time, like any artist that works with a physical medium, or like I mean, I'm a photographer. Like I use film. Film is like it is a filament. I actually found out recently that there's an ingredient in it that actually requires like animal fat, so it's technically like not vegetarian or a vegan material, which I had never once thought about. I've been vegetarian for like 12 or 13 years now, so I'm like, well, so who's going to come out with a vegan film at some point? Maybe that's my $10,000 idea. No one steal it. Copyright Jake Leach. Anyway, but like,
At Vegan Film on Instagram.
yes, it's already taken. Thank you. But like, I'm thinking about like how many. I'm like, Rick, I imagine you have a bunch of materials that like you have to scrap or throw away, or stuff that you just, if for nothing else, just hold on to for years.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's doing more for me, and this is more of an open-ended statement of like really reconsidering what materials I do use and why I hold on to them, and which materials am I just deciding to get rid of, or the use of the plastic is still using it, but you guys have created something of worth. So I feel like I'm gonna have to think a lot about what we're talking about here. But and like Rick, I'm just curious for your practice, like what materials have you used that maybe speaks to you in this way of like considering your waste as a more physical artist?
Yeah, I made a series of works based on the waste from my studio and old like found latex house paint. So I was creating these like massive like plastic and cardboard latex paint like boogers as kind of what they ended up being, as they just started to kind of congeal into all of these different ways. And I was like spraying them with Febreze, and I don't know, it was early art school. It was interesting. So yeah, I mean, environmentally, go ahead.
Why Febreze?
Just to make like it was just this idea of like covering up the smell, like making it all homogeneous and making it smell fresh and clean, but it was like rotting food and like old nasty latex paint. And I actually hate the smell of Febreze, but I wanted to just like, I made the whole like studio complex smell like Febreze because I was spraying it just like all the time. You walk by my studio and you're like, oh, that's where that's coming from.
It's Febreze guy. Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, there's that. I think I consider that a lot with my current work, and there are some environmental issues with the type of paint that I use, like the enamel that I use, and having it come from spray cans. But then I'm making the transition in my practice to shooting paint through a spray gun, which just uses compressed air and doesn't have the same kind of like chemicals that you need to compress something into a spray can. But then yeah, the aluminum is recyclable. And I also just love like the idea of scrapping, like scrappers. And I feel like artists are really not so much different than scrappers. And there's like a lot of crossover of like finding discarded objects from the world that don't have enough value for somebody to, to save or to haul to the scrapyard. But like you can make money if you just go out and collect cans. Like that's money just like laying all over the ground.
Very little money.
Yeah.
just a little bit. Pay for your coffee, maybe.
For some people, though, I mean, they live with different proportions, and they live in different ways of interfacing with the world, and that is real money.
Right.
We got a couple of things. So yeah, definitely popping off against the Kranzbergs in the chat. So Skate Mom says, I had this idea that, let me see what, I really liked what she said. I actually don't see it right now, but something to the effect of like, I'm typically under the assumption that artists are environmentalists, and it just isn't always the case.
Yeah.
Which is a good reminder. It's like, just because someone's invested or, working inside of the arts doesn't mean that there aren't alternate types of accountability that they need. What else we got? Denise in the chat says, I saw your globe and map made out of bags at the GCAD exhibit and was blown away by how visceral and immediate the message was conveyed by the medium. Such a perfect combination. Thank you for sharing your creativity and expertise. What are you working on next?
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, right now we're making small pieces because we just have all this paper that we had bought, which is like 16 by 20 pieces of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just like turning those into small pieces that are a size that could be sellable. And we just put together this application. We like have this really cool project where, did you see that piece that is like an anatomy piece of a cow?
Oh yeah.
So we're building up on that. We have like a whole anatomy show that we're planning, and we're just looking for the right place to show it. And so that could be next.
And that's also a common thing that people discuss is the microplastics inside of fish is where I see it.
That's what this work has to do with.
Okay.
Plastic permeating every single part of this existence, and like into bodies and into
chain food.
Into the chain food, into plants, into everything, So then we're gonna be at one point genetically modified by the existence of plastic, because it doesn't go anywhere. It just becomes tiny little microplastic particles that keep on going into every single place where they can go,
Absolutely. Well, and I'm just curious really quick about how you guys do this, because I'll notice like when I'm in a store and I'll see a product that like, it's like, this was made with 15, 20, 30% of recycled materials. And I will look at that and be like, oh, well, it's only 15. It's only 30% recycled materials. Okay. And then I'll almost judge that harder, even though that company tried, they did something to make it better, than the company right next to it. Like I'm thinking about toothbrushes. I recently bought a toothbrush where the handle was made of recycled plastic. And the idea is that once the head of it gets kind of old, you can buy a new replacement head. And it's the same handle, and the amount of plastic you're throwing away or trying to recycle is like this big as opposed to this big, and I found that like I was judging this material that was actually doing a good job compared to the toothbrush right next to it, which was like, Colgate, regular
100%.
Walgreens. Yeah, just total 100%, no way to recycle it. And I found, I was like, well, why is it that the people that try are like getting the most grief in some way in my mind? And so I'm curious if you guys have like ever thought about working outside of the bounds of these plastic works, that if anyone's ever been like, oh, well, this one, has anyone ever judged you guys or had a comment about how certain ones aren't as environmentally friendly as it could have been or something like that?
Not that I can think.
No? Okay, good. You guys don't have anyone judging you. That's good, and nor should you.
No, in our face anyway.
Okay, good. And maybe that's different in the art world, because art, like, I feel like if you do even remotely a little bit of used, recycled, found materials, that like, I feel like that goes so much further than like a consumer product. And I'm so super excited to have this recycled luxurious toothbrush, but I found my instincts said to give myself trouble and this company trouble for some reason for even trying almost because it wasn't 100%, you know. And I think it's
No,
something we all have to deal with as individuals with these plastics.
The beginning, we tried to make the stroke, the black stroke, out of the black big plastic bags, but it didn't work out. So that's why we ended up doing
It
it
was
with paper.
that was a crazy idea that I wish it had worked because it would have been so beautiful. Imagine this. So you know how we have the black stroke that is a paper?
Yeah.
So the original idea is imagine we take one of those big, heavy-duty black garbage bags
Yeah.
Mhm.
and we cut it and then we glue the plastic. We sandwich the plastic between the two. And then so the piece will be a garbage bag that will hang with these images in
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
Do you follow?
Wow.
Yes.
But it was so difficult
Absolutely.
to like. It was absolutely impossible. Like that plastic was so hard to like cut and glue. It was just impossible.
Yeah,
We
that's
tried,
so-
and it wasn't gonna happen.
To
Yeah.
find a glue that will glue plastics together, that it's not a hot gun, it's kind of difficult.
Mm. I see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're also very hard on ourselves and on being like as low carbon footprint as we can. Like for us, like you see that piece in GCAT, it's beautiful. We love it. Every time we go and we see it, we love everybody from GCAT. So it's like so good to have that piece there. But it's really painful for us to have to use two pieces of plexiglass
Yeah.
in order to have this piece. So that kind of defeats the whole effort, you know. And we just don't have another alternative. That's just the way it is. But it is in a way painful.
Yeah. Rock Hero, thanks for the follow. Yeah, thanks for following us today. Yeah, because plexiglass is acrylic. It's clear acrylic, so it's made out of plastic, right? And then you wouldn't want it gets scratched so easily. You wouldn't want to source that from a scrap pile or anything like that, right? So it does create some of those issues. Skimom has a question here, and the question is, do you think the most important part of your art is the beauty of it or the message? Or maybe you can just tell us kind of how you see the proportion of the product of the creative practice compared to actually like the act of the creative practice.
Well, I think the way I see it is I think the beauty is what we're searching for, and the material that we use just give it integrity, you know. So it's like, but basically, like, I mean, I feel like our search is for beauty. Like, we're searching for beauty, and we're just using this because this is what makes us feel that we're doing something on the side, you know.
And I think that beauty is what wants to bring people closer to see what it is made out of and find out what is it.
Yeah,
Luring
it's
technique.
luring them in. Yeah, it's your
Well, and it's just again funny to me, like we're giving ourselves grief on it's like you guys are like, oh, we had to use plexiglass. I know, where like so many artists wouldn't even think twice to use plexiglass, and they wouldn't even think about the acrylic, and like so I feel like that like the beauty that you guys are seeking out and through the materiality that there is still that like we do the best that we can, and I think that's ultimately all we can do, because Rick, I think like what you're talking about.
Well, I think
like,
that happens when you're already in. When
Right.
you're already doing something like to be zero carbon footprint in the
Yeah.
making of your artwork, anything can mess that up. Well,
Right.
if you're not worrying at all, what can go wrong? You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
if you're from
Totally. Well, and it's like a limitation, I think is really beautiful too, because I think people kind of desire that a little bit, and also maybe should seek that out to be like, well, for this piece, I actually do want to try to be as like limited as possible and try to only use materials that I feel like I'm can gather from other spaces, and I don't need to go out and purchase, and like Rick, like you're saying with your spray gun, just using compressed air or something like that, it's just like oftentimes there's so many little tweaks that people can do, while still remembering that there is so little we can do as individuals in some ways, when there are massive companies that are giant factories that are causing the vast majority of climate change. That this idea that we need to give ourselves grief at all, because it is important. It is up to us. Wait, who is the bear in the forest with the fire? Rick?
Smokey,
See,
Smokey
someone
Bear.
classic, Smokey the Bear. And only you can prevent forest fires. It's like, that's true, but also, like, so is deforestation can not cause forest fires. So it's like, only you can recycle your plastic bottle, but yeah, but also maybe the Kranzbergs can stop doing. I'm gonna stop there, but
Yeah.
it's just really important that individual value versus the group whole, and what you guys do with your work is just so striking. I mean, it stirs up so much conversation.
It does return to that idea of integrity, and I thought that was well put.
Right.
Like the work does. I think for artists, as they move on, the integrity of their work does drive a lot of the decisions that they make about it. And without that integrity, it's difficult to even have a body of work. I think that the body of work, the pursuit of beauty might be there, but the body of work doesn't form until there's integrity in the practice, and that looks different for everybody. For me, in terms of the spray gun, like the spray gun is actually a movement towards integrity in multiple ways. Is first, it's more healthy, but also like that comes from the history and the lineage of my dad painting cars with the spray gun. So like there's like multiple levels of these integrities that can come into the practice. But we do have to make compromises. Like the question becomes, do you show at Kranzberg? Like having to know this knowledge, then a part of the ways that we generate integrity in our practice is through choosing to do certain things, but most often choosing not to do other things. And that's just as we continue to receive more information, those choices become more important. Those choices are really kind of the foundation of the work. But I guess, does anything else come up for you when you think about the integrity of your work? Because it felt like you had a good grasp on what that meant to you, the integrity.
But I think this is the thing, like, how I told you, the search for beauty is like what we do as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also needed to have like something that would really give purpose to that search of beauty, was to have either the right material or the right message or the right subject matter. You know what I mean? So because we had like as soon as we found the right material, we're like, okay, we already have this material which is already speaks on its by itself on like the message that we want to give. Then we can now search for beauty freely, because we already have this other aspect going for the work that is powerful enough.
Mm.
I don't know if I was very clear.
No,
No,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Just letting it sit, soaking it up.
Wow. Yeah, well, and I think the integrity of work too, integrity can mean so many different things. I think for people, like, I need this to wholly be my thought, my art needs to be one-to-one with how I feel about it. That I didn't put away any creative motive that I had for this work, even though you may still take in some criticism, may take in some helpful tips or something. That I think a lot of people tend to wrestle with that in so many different ways. So I think you guys using integrity as the material itself too, I think, and thinking about it in the physical material way of that, I think is really interesting, beyond just like, I need my piece to come across in this way, and that translates to your guys' material that you use.
I also would like to say that, not to discourage anybody, that art doesn't have to be for others. Art can just be for yourself. Art can be a very therapeutic thing, you know what I mean? And for some people, art can be a great outlet for like terrible things that are within their lives. And So even if art is very personal or anecdotic, it can still be very powerful, and it can still resonate to so many other people that might be going through the same thing. You know what I mean? So there's always value in art because it's something that you do so intuitive and so out of spite that no matter what it is, it's got a beauty of it because you're doing it in an intuitive way. And everything that comes from intuition is just like what needs to be done. You know what I mean? And it's what like something else is telling you that is the path that you should follow, and it's there for a reason.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
Greg Stevens is clapping you in the chat here. Lots of
I
clap
was gonna
hands.
say, Rick, just before the break, it looks like we got 4 minutes till then. Like, I don't even know what I can say better than that. So
Yeah. We did have a question from Denise, and we can probably end here. Love the idea of applying the technique to animal subjects. Really makes the connection so clearly. Any thoughts on expanding to human figures? Somebody needs to hook you up with Greenpeace and all the environmental groups. Love your work.
Please. We actually have thought of that, and we just did an application for this call for artists, and we are doing some of it with human bodies.
Human
Wow.
bodies.
Okay.
Because part of it is like, look, there's so many, like, nature is so wonderful. You know, when you study and when you try to understand, like, just the organism, the body, everything that goes with it. Look at human technology, everything that has been developed and created, and humans cannot make what a liver can do.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much, like, a simple function like a liver, or there's different parts of the only body part that the humans can emulate is the heart, because all it does is it pumps.
Mhm.
And that's the only thing that humans have been able to figure it out. All the other organs, no matter how much technology we have, they don't know. They don't know how to do it. They can know, they can make an iPhone, but they cannot make a liver,
Wow.
And
Absolutely.
so there's so much wonderness in nature, and that's what we want to celebrate and what was the right word?
You're doing it. You're
I
doing all
lost
of
the
those
right
things.
word, but
You've got it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks, Denise, for the question. Skate Mom, I see your question. Let's hold that off until the other side of the break. And I think that's going to give us a good end to the rest of the art making conversation. So I'm going to drop their links in the chat, Instagram and the websites. So across the break, if you want to go follow them on Instagram or go check out their websites, you can do it. And 1 second. So yeah, enjoying it so far. I appreciate you all for bringing up comments and generating some knowledge for all of us about some things that are happening in the art world here in St. Louis. We are going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to come back, and then we're going to round off our art conversation and finish the show by asking Kelly and Alejandro some 10 popular culture questions at the end. It's going to be a lot of fun. So get your questions in now. You can send them over the break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about their collaboration, and we will see you soon. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Thank you for hanging out across the break. We are in our final hour now, and during this part of the show, we're going to talk about we're going to wrap up the art conversation, and then we're going to get into the 10 questions. Thanks again for everyone tuning in today. If you've been enjoying the stream, if this is your first time here, welcome. Feel free to chat, ask questions. You won't interrupt me. I'll just filter them into our guests whenever they feel good. I'm going to go back to our group here again with a new special guest, Gato.
Always good to have the kitty on the vibe.
Yes, cat cam is what we all are kind of built on. They are the stars of the show.
Yeah, I really got to get a cat. Rick, you've got a cat. Our guests often have a cat. I never have a cat. I got to get one.
Maybe
help add to the.
you could get like a cat, like a stuffed animal cat or something, and that's just the joke.
You'd be like, "Oh, look who's here! Oh, look at you! Okay, thanks."
It's gone.
If you could give your love to a cat, I'm sure a cat would appreciate it, Jake.
Yes, I've been toying with the idea of getting a cat for like 2 or 3 years now, and I think it's steadily approaching the time to go ahead and do it soon.
A mystical companion. So you're into astrology and stuff like that. It could be like a great.
I completely agree. And a former partner of mine got a cat, and I always thought I was allergic to them. And she's like, "I'm getting a cat, and I don't care if you're allergic." And I was like, "Okay." And then I found out that I'm like, certainly not as allergic as I thought. But like, I had to learn the language of cats, and I didn't understand like how to pet a cat, because I was like, dogs love everything. I know dogs. I grew up with a dog, but like,
You have to be an expert. You have to be an expert, otherwise they're gonna hate you. Like,
yes, or hurt you. And luckily, the cat that she got was very much like a dog, so it was I could ease into the cat language and the ways that cats want to be loved and cared for. So I feel like I'm slowly learning, and I anytime I meet a cat, I'm like, okay, what's your deal?
Yeah.
And I really try to focus in. It's a very mystical thing. I completely agree.
You got along with Virgil pretty well, my cat.
I do. Yeah, Rick's cat Virgil's very sweet. He seems busy. He seems like he's a busy cat. He's always doing something.
He goes from thing to thing. He's mostly just trying to convince us to give him more food. He is losing weight. He's lost a pound in the past couple of months, which is a big deal for a cat.
That's very good.
What's that?
Strict. Is he on a strict diet or something?
Things got a little out of control. Yeah, things got a little out of hand. We had this automatic pet feeder that was kind of broke, and then was like feeding him too much, and we kind of knew it, but we thought that maybe he would just self-regulate, and he didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that one of those that you can activate it from your phone or something?
It was, but then it broke. Like, the company went under when the coronavirus stuff started happening. They like ran out of money, and then like the app didn't work anymore, and it's this whole thing. So I blame them. I'm suing them for him getting fat.
My sweet boy, what have you done to him?
Damn you, PetNet.
PetNet, we're coming for you next.
Previous to the break, we had a question from Skate Mom that says, and I think it's a really good place for us to start the kind of like final 20 or 30 minutes of our art conversation here. The question is, when making the work, how does your collaborative process work?
Well, we're constantly talking about like different ways of like what we're planning to do, and then when we come like in agreement into a subject, we start like designing, both of us, in Photoshop or Illustrator, and then we just come back together and we start like looking at the images and see what works best and getting feedback from one another. And for me, it's like really great to get feedback from him, because when I met him, I was like so impressed for what he was doing. So it's actually very inspiring. So you want to add
That's sweet.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is what we talk about all day, every day. What can we do? What is it like? I mean, it's just a constant conversation, and we design on our own. Like, based on these conversations we have, each of us just come up with designs, and then we approve them or not, like together. And then once the design is approved, the work is very just labor based. It's nothing. It's just like cut and pay and glue. So we both work together, but it's just labor. You know, once we decided on a design, it's pretty much just labor. So and it's, I mean, we always enjoy going to the studio. We're very fortunate. We have a studio in the same building where we live. We live in an artist loft here in downtown,
Yeah.
and so we go there. We listen to different podcasts or music and just work away. You know.
Absolutely.
I think it's interesting that you said that you do the design process separately and then come back. It's generally, I think it's really important for people in relationships and romantic relationships, but also working relationships, to have time away from each other, to have space to like make. And there's something about designing in particular, because I worked as a graphic designer, and for a period, you know, like my first career was that. And like when somebody's standing over your shoulder as you're designing a logo, it's impossible.
Because you don't want immediate feedback. You want feedback when you already work so much. You know, when you like, you already did this, okay, give me feedback. But don't give me feedback on every single move I make, because then you're like keeping me from flowing, you know?
Right.
Right. Which translates to that, to the like the you know, the sharing space relationship, to the intimate relationship too. And so I know, like, I need to get worked up sometimes to, like, you know, it takes me some time to get going on a certain project, or if there's oftentimes if there's scrutiny, like you said, too early in the practice, it can so totally disrupt my flow, even if that's like cleaning the bathroom, you know, or even if that's like organizing a shelf. It's like, first of all, I need to just start. So it's really cool that you all have
Yeah.
that established in your practice, that like, okay, time away is important. And on that same theme, you mentioned that this is what you talk about all day and night, but like, do you have a practice of instituting breaks or
I was just
buffers
gonna ask that. Yeah.
between, you know, so that there's time where you're not thinking about a particular aspect of the work, and you decide to be in another space with one another?
Well, I don't think it's established, you know,
Yeah.
because we enjoy it a lot. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, you're talking about that, but I want to relax. No, for us, it is relaxing, you know, and it is fun,
Good.
and it is something that we really like and we really enjoy. So it's not like, oh, but all you do is just think about work all day long. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't feel that way. And maybe if it did, then we started thinking about doing something else. You know?
Hmm.
Even when we go, I don't know, like to the botanical garden and we see a window and we're like, oh, look at that window. Like this window would be perfect if we make like whatever for
Uh-huh.
it out of single-use plastic. We just have it so embedded.
It's amazing to challenge those notions of how we think that we should structure your life, because conventional society would say you should have time where you talk about work, and then you should have time where you don't, right? But like, that doesn't quite apply when the work is your life. And I find often for myself, I have to confront those like societal norms or habits that say, hey, you're working too much. But like, when my work is painting, and when my work is you know, being on screen with, you know, three of my friends, it's like, it's not the same thing. And like, continuing to challenge those like societal notions of what it means to be an artist or what it means to be productive, I think is a really valid pursuit. So I that's kind of what I hear when you're saying that, is like, it's not work, and like, we do it as long as it feels good, and then maybe if it stops feeling good, we don't do it as much. Feels good. I think that's like, it's a powerful way to be, instead of attaching it to a number of hours, or attaching it to a number of works in a given period.
I agree. Well, and Rick, it's interesting you say that, because I kind of feel like how much of that is like Americanized, like that we at some point, anytime we put effort into something, we call it work, maybe, even if it's something we love, and that like, that we still maybe sometimes put those limits on ourselves, where it's like, well, there's work and then there's play, because that's like I feel like a very American thing to be like you have to work 9 to 5, and then once it starts the stroke of 5, it's happy hour. I mean, our show is called Art Brunch for gosh sakes. Like it's like literally this idea of like institutionalized time at this certain space that we enjoy one another. But brunch only goes to a certain point and then it's back to work, or like the rest of Sunday we have off, but then Monday we go back to work. And what I love about what you guys, Kelly and Alejandro, are talking about, like, you guys are just like, this is just all the time. Now I imagine there is some dishes doing, you got to do. Sometimes you just got to do some work, but I just think like I wonder, like Alejandro, you came here, you came to Florida around when you were 18, I believe, and Kelly, I think you said you were like around 9 or much younger. I'm just curious if like I'm sorry.
I was like 13 when I moved
Oh,
here.
13. Okay, gotcha. Like, I'm just curious, like, has like you've been here clearly for a long time, but like, is there like the Americanized way of looking at the pursuit of making art? Has that ever been something you've bumped up against?
Well, actually, I feel like in United States, artists are taken way more serious than they are in South America.
Really?
From society, not from like institutions or galleries or museums or anything like that. But I'm saying like from just regular society. I feel like if you're an artist in South America, a lot of times you're seen as a lazy person that you just don't want to work. You just want to like be this creative entity that is not questioned or it's like it doesn't really assimilate society because it doesn't have like a regular job. While in United States, I feel like, I mean, it's my personal experience is that I feel like artists, there's more room for artists to make money. There's more room for artists to get recognition from society. There is more room for artists to just like develop their career in general.
Yeah, because I do feel like it carries a lot of social weight to be an artist. Like if you find out of somebody that you know or a friend of a friend is an artist, I do feel like, at least me personally, I'm like, ooh, who are they? What do they do? Like, I have that social interest in that. But I guess, and we've talked about, Rick, I feel like we've talked about this, and we don't have to go fully into this, but like previous people on the show have talked about how little institutionally our country has cared about this, that all of us together have experienced this America where, like you said, like from institutions, we get no money. We always have to be fighting for ourselves, to be fighting to be an artist. But I guess there are more options for artists to be paid, perhaps, than other spaces. And at least socially, we can feel like, well, I know I carry value because we carry value as artists, and America views us as interesting, cool. We like that. There's those places to do that. But I guess it's just there is no perfect place, certainly either, to be an artist, to be fully respected, to be fully funded. To kind of have to always be fighting against this work play environment.
I feel that I made a decision early in my career that it was gonna be so difficult to be to like have like a sustainable life out of my art. So I decided to find a job that was that I like enough to like not take away a lot from me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I work at museums, and I help hang installations, and that also keeps me in the loop of what's going on in these big institutions, how like the whole protocol around this art that is so highly valued, and all those things are really add up to what I want to be and what I like in life,
Alejandro's the happiest art handler in St. Louis. I think that's the case. I think I am like so jaded sometimes from my art handling experience that I feel like a grumpy old man.
Time.
What's that?
I own part-time.
Yeah,
so.
That's probably
that might help.
That job can chew you up. That job can get to people. I've seen it get to people. But it is also like such an amazing crux of all of those things is like, oh, I can be around art and get paid for it. Sounds kind of inconceivable to to me, or it did at certain points in my life. Like, so that's good.
That's so funny. Well, and it's beautiful too that you guys can bring that space together, not only just as creative partners, but as romantic partners and as people that can form a home, and you guys still have the space of just like to make art is to enjoy life, and I think that a lot of people struggle with that. And I mean, I certainly have, on my own, Rick, as I imagine you have too. And Rick, I like to think of our creative partnership.
Yeah.
I feel like you and I think have, as the other couple on the screen, Rick and you and I, as creative partners, have been like, I've really enjoyed it. Let's pull back the curtains here a little bit. I think it's something that, like, I have found very few people like Rick that I could work with, that I feel such a creative freedom, but also a kind of similar ethic and way of looking at the world. And it's like, so when you guys talk about your ability to work together, since you guys just kind of get it, I wonder if I was on the show with a different person, I wouldn't be able to understand it as well, because Rick here is someone that I feel I'm like, oh, I get it. They work together well because me and Rick work together. And
That's
to
sweet.
Rick's partner, Tiffany, I'm not trying to get in here. I'm not trying to steal Rick or anything. It's not Mr. Steal Your Man over here. But all I'm saying is, I think that's something I've recently experienced, where I feel like I can actually have true, wonderful, creative partnership and collaboration. Because it's something I've certainly struggled with as an artist, as a co-collaborator.
I think working with other people like fundamentally sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know, like maybe
Yeah.
I'm alone in that, and I don't mean it
Mm.
in a way that like makes me would make
How do you
anybody
really
who
feel about
works
me,
with
Rick?
me.
I get it. How do you feel about me, bro? Okay.
I just think it's like I just think it's part of the deal, and I think that it's difficult because it is so easy to imagine yourself as like this island and to make the
Mhm.
decisions that you feel like you need to make. And the moment that you open yourself up to the you open yourself up to another person where something they do or something they think affects your life and can even affect kind of like the deeper fabric of your being, that's like conflict city. Like that's like the heart of anything good kind of comes from there. Um, but yeah, I think that it does, like, I mean, I of course like enjoy all of these relationships in my life, and for me it works because I come at it from a place of like I'm going to have to sacrifice. Like from the very beginning of any time I institute a relationship, it's like if I want to have a relationship with this person, there are going to be compromises and there are
Mm.
going to be sacrifices, and it is going to suck. So if you don't want to do that with that person, then like you shouldn't. If and I want to do that with you, Jake. I want all
Oh,
of the suck.
me too. I want
Yeah.
all the hurt, all the pain, all our beautiful dark twisted fantasies, everything. We'll make it happen. We're gonna
Because you get into that, you get
Yeah.
into that, and especially working on something like so important to you, like your artwork is it like there are disagreements? Do you guys have disagreements, or am I just projecting?
I mean, we don't agree on everything.
Uh-huh.
So of course, there's like somebody comes up with an idea, and the other person's reaction just says it all.
So very very political. Do you guys have disagreements? Well, we don't agree on everything.
It's very bipartisan, but we try to reach across the aisle. Yes.
Not,
Yeah.
not that we have disagreements, is that we just cannot agree on everything.
That's great.
Right.
I love
That's
it.
really true. That's extremely true.
And it can be, you get tied up in that. So when you present something and it doesn't hit home, like if we're too attached to what we're doing, if we're too attached to kind of these ideas about how things should be or are or should be perceived, then it creates issues. But the way that I'm hearing you talk about that, and some of the other things that I know about you as you two, is that kind of like your attachments to these ideas are looser maybe, and that's kind of a lubricant or helpful when you get into those places.
I also feel that because we don't have that much formal education, we have way more freedom.
Hmm.
Because we haven't been taught about so many boundaries of art and so many like technicalities. So I feel like we're not as stuck with those because we just don't have that in our system, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just something.
Well, and Rick, I mean, I feel like you've talked about that a lot as
It's a
far
joke.
as Yeah, I
Art
mean,
school's a
it's
joke.
art school is a joke. That's the way Rick feels about it.
But it's
You
a good
know,
joke. It's like it's totally. I love the comedy of it, and people that engage in that. I have tons and tons of respect for. But in my life, it didn't work. In my life, it just wasn't right for me. But yeah,
but I think there is something to the informalization of art making, and I think that can be a strength and a detriment to some people's art. But I genuinely think for your guys' work, I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's beautiful what comes out of it, having to have that institutionalized mindset. Because I think that's the worst part, is it institutionalizes your mind at some point, because you think, well, I have to be part of this narrative, and then how can I just like slightly do a 3% tweak off the narrative so everyone will think what I do is cool, but I'm deeply in on this other thing. um, I also didn't go to art school, so I feel you as well. I didn't go at all, so I got a media degree instead, which that's why I'm here on TV instead. So it makes a lot of sense. I'm using my degree right now more than I ever have, actually. So
you're trained for this.
trained for it, exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's the nature of education. Is education, to a certain degree inside of our society, has to follow certain metrics for it to be valid, and that's kind of like the fun thing from my experiences pre dropping out of art school, is that like, yes, we know all of these things are important, but then also simultaneously we're all engaged in this idea that this is like a farce, and that like you can't teach creativity, but you can like cultivate it. But institutions have a hard time. They struggle with cultivation, uh, and it's nice to find other people who are open to just looking at the world around them and finding the materials that work for them, creating reasons, and then making from those things as well. I think it takes all types. Well, I think we're kind of in this place now where we go to the final 10 questions as we get up to 12:30 here. Do you agree, Jake?
I sure do. Let's do it. I'll go ahead and start with our first question.
Yeah.
Kelly and Alejandro, what is one simple thing you're trying to get good at?
Myself working out. I work from home. I'm a freelancer,
Mm-hmm.
so and I'm not very athletic. So I've been trying to do like some workouts or walking or something because I'm not good at it lately.
We recently bought a keyboard
Yeah.
and I'm trying to get good at keyboard. Playing keyboard. I mean, I don't have big ambitions. We're just like YouTube will teach you, and you can learn like 5 minutes after you're playing the song that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Right, your keyboard. So
That's great.
Absolutely.
We're ready for the tasty jams whenever
Yeah,
they're.
whatever you guys got. Even some
Let you know.
covers. Yeah.
Oh, they're all cool.
Oh yeah. For sure.
The next question. Go ahead, Jake.
Oh no, that just made me very quickly think that you talked about making art for yourself, and I feel like my first love was music. So I feel like so many people don't pick up an instrument because oh well, I could never be a famous musician, or oh I could never like shred like Jimi Hendrix on the guitar or something. And I just think very much like you said, like you should make art for yourself, and I very much think you're doing that with the keyboard. Clearly, it's like just play music for you, learn the songs you love, and that's good enough, and that's perfectly okay. And I just had to drop that in there because I just know so many people that do not pick up an instrument ever because they just think they won't be good. And it's like just do it, just have some fun, do it for you.
Good
Absolutely.
music.
Right. Absolutely.
The next question we have is, do you have a favorite type of gum?
Gum? I don't like gum.
No gum.
Okay.
I don't like gum either.
Not really, no.
Gum.
I mean, I never buy gum.
I
Like it will be so. If I have gum, it's because somebody offered me gum.
Yeah.
And maybe when they have offered me gum, I think when it's got like a cinnamon taste to it, I kind of like that. But not enough to buy it.
Yeah.
I hear that. Absolutely.
I got a funky jaw. Anytime I chew gum, my jaw hurts for like days afterwards. I used to love gum, but now it just hurts my mouth to chew it. I don't know how people do it.
It's a lot of work.
It's
It's a good workout. Speaking of workouts, it's a good workout.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just getting injured though. Maybe it's not actually a workout at all. Have you guys ever successfully completed a game of Monopoly?
How do you complete it?
That is an eternal question. First, how do you do
I
it?
played a bunch of times.
I guess you just win.
You just
all
bleed
of
the other person dry, I think.
Yeah, everyone else has no money. I guess. I don't know.
But
It's
that's-
a monopoly.
That's the fun of the question, because yeah, I mean, like the end of getting to the end of Monopoly is a brutal experience.
Yeah.
And
it
it
takes
takes how
a-
many hours will that? I mean, I guess it depends on the players, right? But
Multiple
Yeah.
hours. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So is that a
there
no?
is this.
I don't remember
It's-
when was the last time I played. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably sounds like a no. That's fine. Yeah,
So-
that's great.
So then if you
We
couldn't
recently learned about this game, Clue.
uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Fun.
I've actually never played Clue.
I saw the movie that they made based off the board game, but I don't think I've ever played Clue either. Actually.
Is it fun?
It's because it uses common sense.
Okay.
So you have some clues, and then you have to figure it out, and it's all common sense. It's not like throwing a dice or anything like that. I mean, you have to throw a dice for the game to happen, but it was good.
It's fun.
Yeah.
We
I-
completed it.
Okay. It was
That you can complete. Clue is a game you can complete.
It was always like the game. Anytime I came into contact with Clue, I was like too young to understand the rules. So I never, and I haven't come into contact with it as an adult. But I feel like it does, like, I think it would be really hard for like a 9-year-old to play Clue with other 9-year-olds.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, it's too young.
Too
You
Yeah.
want to be a little old.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say no, it would be easy, and then like no.
Way too
No, you want to be a little older because while you're like, you have to like, I don't know. I don't even want to get deeper into the like the way the game works, but I think you want to be like, you want to have more in your head by
Okay.
the time you play it
Mm.
than when you're 9.
Good game for like a 13 or 14-year-old.
Yeah. Good. This is good Clue chat for sure.
If you couldn't be an artist, what would your dream job be? With like no limitations. So, no like physical limitations or anything, but excluding being an artist, what do you think the dream job would be for you?
I'm thinking.
Well, I would like. I mean, there's so many things that I would like to be. I would like to be an anthropologist.
Mm.
I would like to be a biologist. I would like to be like out in the wild and like learning about all these creatures and things. I think that.
Cool.
I think that anthropologist too, and maybe a psychologist. I thought about going to school for that before fashion design.
That's nice. Anthropology is so good. I took a couple anthropology classes in school and really fell in love with it, and also almost kind of went down that path. Human behavior, cultural behavior. It's so gratifying.
I think this is the perfect moment to be an anthropologist because we're going through this pandemic that is like a global situation, and you can like read it through like all these different cultures, and
Yeah.
I think it will be like you will have so much work to do, like right now as an anthropologist.
Mm.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of culture and gathering cultural ideas, what was your guys' favorite cartoon growing up?
I'll say Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
I really Chicken. I know the name in Spanish. It was a Cartoon Network. I don't know if that's how it's called in English. Cow and chicken. It's a cow and a
Yes.
chicken.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're brothers. I
Totally.
really-
What's the name in English?
It's
It's-
just cow and chicken.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I totally remember that. I think that's the first time people have brought up that show when they talk about Cartoon Network.
That
They
was a
always
crazy
say
show.
that show was wild.
I
They
love
always
that
talk
show.
about Courage the Cowardly Dog or Powerpuff Girls or any of those. No one's talked about Cow and Chicken. So I get that. Alejandro, which Ninja Turtle did you think that you were? Which one did you identify with most?
Michelangelo.
There you go.
It makes sense.
You do have like you do seem like a Ninja Turtles kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's really coming clear. I'm not sure what that means, but it feels really natural. It's on brand for you.
It makes sense.
I think it was just what was hot when I was growing up, and there were like so many different toy figures. I remember I used to live in Colombia in a 4-story, and I would make parachutes for everyone. And I would
Nice.
throw them like out of like garbage bags,
Yeah.
and then I would put them down, and then I would go and pick them all up, and just to see them fall down in the parachute and the way it opens mid air, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, that
So
sounds
we'll look
fun.
forward to the Kelly Alejandro parachutes collaboration.
Yes. You guys gotta make them
Be super sick.
Yeah.
And we're living at 12th floor now.
Well, even
There
better.
you go.
I'd really test them out then.
Do you have an artist that you hate that you love? Like kind of funny? Like any artist that you hate to love? Like mine is Jeff Koons. I absolutely hate that I love him so much, but I love him so much.
I hate Jeff Koons.
Okay.
I think I have artists that I hate, but I don't have that type of like. I either hate them or love them.
That's
but
fair.
I don't necessarily hate them. I don't believe in hate. You know, I just disregard them, ignore them.
Yeah.
Except for Jeff Koons. We hate Jeff Koons.
Jeff Koons.
Okay.
Hard to ignore.
But I also think like people are very, and it's really important. I think Jeff Koons' role in the art world is really important because he just incarnates the commercial aspect of the art world. You know.
For sure. Yeah.
And how much.
He really operates in that space, and I think gives a lot of clarity. But he's a good punching bag. He's a really good punching bag in the art world.
Yeah. When you guys are driving, are you typically the giver or the receiver of the finger?
Good question. I don't think I get upset very easy, but when I'm driving, I get upset.
Yeah.
And I kind of like it because it's like a way to like channel things out.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like road rage, but I do it very quiet, like on my own, like it's just for me.
Yeah. Private.
So I
just
keep the
private rage.
finger, but it's all very internal. You know what I mean? It's all
Yes.
like I'm not trying to start like a fight or anything.
Yeah.
Or I don't person to know that made me upset. Like I rather they don't, you know. It'll make me more powerful. I mean, from my belief.
Makes you more powerful.
So-
That's so true.
And he's the one that is usually doing the driving. And when I'm by myself and I'm driving, I just let people. I just pass me. I don't want to get into
So
a fight.
she's probably getting the finger.
Yeah.
You're always one or the other. Absolutely.
Yeah, there is no middle ground there.
Yeah. It's a very binary question.
Is this me or you, Jake? Question 8.
Let's see. Do you want one more fun question? Then we get to take 2 big questions.
Sure, yeah, I'll take 8. Okay, so what are your thoughts on Crocs, the shoes?
Well,
Aesthetically, they are horrible.
well, we as Colombians, in Colombia we have this guy who is like the guy that's been in power for the longest time, and he's a guy that has done a lot of bad to Colombia, and he wears Crocs.
What?
So it's got that. I mean, I can know every time I see a Croc, I can know. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is that guy.
Mm.
So
Yeah, that's not
so
good.
Something that's really fun about Crocs. I used to work in a shoe store when I was a teenager, and it's how they name their Crocs, the colors that they pick. They're like very accurate and they're fun.
Wow.
Wait,
What
what was that?
The the name that they
Go ahead,
put
Rick.
their Crocs, like the colors. They have a way like they name their colors, and I don't remember like a name for their colors, but I remember
Oh.
that was fun, like to look at how they named them.
Oh, okay, cool.
And why did you guys ask that?
It's like it's a divisive thing in pop culture. I think that Crocs, they're like kind of the dumb shoe of the world, but like they're awesome because they're like the dumb shoe of the world. And I remember when they first came out, and I thought they were just gonna be here for like a year, and kind of like go away. Like this was some kind of like stupid thing that was happening, and then that would pass, but like it never passed. And it's just been recycled and permeates popular culture in all these different ways. And it's like that's a new type of shoe. Like that is like a very special shoe that is like probably the newest, hottest shoe in the world. God, that sounds terrible to say. Form of shoe. And
Yeah.
you get who is it in Colombia that wears the Crocs?
Álvaro Uribe.
Hmm.
He's the next president.
I want to find a picture of him um in Crocs. So that's what I'm going to be
Also,
looking up.
if you type Álvaro Uribe Crocs, I'm sure something. I mean, it might be a cartoon. What comes out? But...
Okay.
Uh,
Let's see if I can find it real quick. Because I need to see this. Because like imagine being this guy and choosing that
I think
shoe.
Crocs are. I think Crocs are cool for certain professions. Like if you're a chef
Yeah.
Or a
Then-
nurse.
or a nurse, then Crocs look really cool on you, and they like make you look even more professional.
Yeah. I had some
Yeah.
actually when I was working at a restaurant serving. So I would serve. I was serving at this nice French restaurant, but I was wearing Crocs because they are like so grippy and so comfortable.
And
That
Did you have? Will you wear socks
I would. Yeah.
that match the color of the Croc or that contrast the color of the Croc?
Well, they were black, so black socks. Yeah. I went with the all black server thing. They were
There you
good
go.
though. I never slipped. I didn't slip one time. Very slip resistant.
very slip.
I can't find
I'm
a
trying
picture.
to find a picture too, Rick. I thought I
We'll
would
find
help.
one for later.
We'll find one later. We'll throw it up. Okay. So if you guys could describe your meditation practice or similar way of relaxing/connecting.
We did yoga at one point.
Oh yeah. I mean, when we first got here, we had nothing to do all day. We didn't have a job. We didn't have a car. It was super cold outside. So we came up with like this routine that was like maybe like a rich person routine that gets up at like 9 in the morning and then does yoga and then breakfast and then take a shower and then. So I guess we used to do yoga. We do yoga still every now and then. I also feel that we're very meditative, like just in our lives in general.
What about the morning pages? That also
Oh, we used to do
seems
morning pages. So you guys know about that book, The Artist's Way?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So they recommend we read that book when on that phase when we were just at home not doing nothing. So they recommend to do morning pages, which I find very very valuable. And what it is you wake up. I don't know if you guys know this, but you wake up and the first thing you do before anything else is you write down 3 pages out of anything that comes out of your mind. You just write it down. You're not expecting this to be literature or anything special. You just write it down. And by getting rid of those 3 pages of stuff that you just wanted to say first thing in the morning, you are much lighter.
Yep, I do those. I try to do it every day. I love them.
Oh.
Yeah. I think and what I've noticed is like over time of doing them more and more frequently that there's I like kind of got to the bottom of that barrel, and I wake up more often than not and feel more clear as I do them regularly. Like if I don't do it for a few days or for a week, 3 pages like goes by like that. But if I'm doing them every single day after a few weeks or a month of that, I'll wake up and I'll just kind of still feel clear and write things down, and I don't like to trudge, so if I'm doing it that frequently, I'll allow myself to write less so I don't have to start like digging my own holes, like digging holes for myself.
Yeah.
But I think it's such an amazing practice.
Recommend
Yeah,
pages, but it be just what until you had enough.
exactly. Yeah.
How big are the notebooks are you guys using to write pages? Because I've got this little notebook here that I tend to use for show notes, and it's not very big. But from right now, to me, 3 pages seems like a lot. But maybe if I actually started doing it, did it seem like a lot at first? But then it really wasn't a lot.
Well, that's the thing. Like because even if you don't have anything to write, then just start describing the room, or because then it's basically you wake up with bargain and you wanna get rid of it.
Yeah.
So but with baggage, is what I mean.
Yeah.
So by writing it, you kind of channel all of that, and at the end of it, you kind of got rid of all that rant that you wanted to do first thing in the morning, or that you got up. So even if you do 1 page, 2 pages, it's progress. It's like a little something that you got rid of before you started your day.
Absolutely.
And the final question that we have here is, what is the most memorable response you've received about your work?
Well, I think you guys calling us to do this interview.
Oh,
We're not fishing for compliments. I promise. We're not trying to roll you.
Be really hard it's gonna be really difficult to tap.
well, thank you.
Oh, thank
I
you.
was thinking about one time that we applied for a show, and it was like a gather of artists, and then the curator sent us a message saying that she didn't include us into that show because she wanted to give us a solo show. So that was
Wow.
nice.
Yeah.
So it's that real wait a second. Oh,
No,
okay.
it sounded as a negative email at first, and then it turned out to be something better.
That's
Wow.
incredible. That is an amazing feeling, I'm sure. Wow.
That's awesome. Well, I just so appreciate you all being here and having this conversation with us and giving us all a space and an opportunity to get to know you better and get to know the practice better. And it's only gotten better. Like, I think the more that I get to know you two and the more that I get to know your work and your practice, it's like only getting better, which is amazing. And I appreciate you allowing us in and taking a shot with coming onto the show and being here for a few hours and revealing this deep and important stuff about your practice. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate it, and I had an amazing time today.
Likewise.
Thank
Well-
you so much.
Thank you for everything and everybody that tuned in for their time, and much appreciated.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Rick and I talk about this a lot on the show, but just to always to make sure to say it in public. And we're live on on the internet, and to make sure that we share our love in a public space. And I just totally agree with Rick here of just saying your guys' work is so incredible, and it really, I've there's very few artists, let alone artworks, that I think really stir up a lot of stuff for me. That it makes me think about it on 20 different levels at once, and so easily too. And it only takes up so much space, and the materials you guys use. And I don't mean to rehash everything Rick just said, but just it is truly incredible work, and I completely agree with Rick. It's just very excited with where you guys are headed, and can't wait for it. So
Keep doing
and-
it. We got to keep
yeah.
doing it.
I don't think there's any risk of that stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, I know, but if there ever is, just remember, we want more. We love it.
Yes.
Keep doing it. It's
Really do.
amazing. Can't wait to see what comes next.
Absolutely. Well, Rick, should we go around the horn and just do our final shout outs and everything?
Yeah. I think that we can just give it to them because we kind of did that.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just want to open up this space for you two here at the end of the show. If there's anything that we didn't talk about, or if there's anything that you just want to say to people that follow you, people in our audience, or just people in the world, we want to just give you the stage at the end here to share whatever that might be.
Something that I was thinking of was the mini golf that we did for the Sheldon, the concert hall. In case people are not aware of this, the Sheldon does call for artists for a miniature golf, where they pick a different artist for each hole, and we did one last year, inspired on Bauhaus because it was their 100 years anniversary, I think. So
Yeah.
we did that, and that just came to my mind, like if people should apply to that was really cool. And
Yeah, I feel like the applications are open now, and it's such a fun project.
Okay.
Like to take your artistic practice and turn it into something that is so dynamic as a miniature golf hole. You know.
That sounds fun. Yeah. Apply to shows, and it's something that is hard to get motivation to do sometimes. But yeah, we did see that image, or I do have that image, and it was really cool.
And I'm a big
And-
golf fan, so I'm extremely excited to
true.
hopefully check that out. If I don't know if is the Sheldon doing visiting? Can you see it in person?
You play. I mean, you have to go through the whole golf course and play, and they do it by groups. So it's only your group that you will be with. So
It sounds so
Wow.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. That's awesome. Trying to golf, so glad to know I can participate in art and golf at the same time with my friends. So that's perfect.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing. I'm gonna take us away now. It was wonderful having you here.
thank you guys. It was so nice being here in such a
Thank you.
lovely day.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll put your links in the chat one more time if people are
Absolutely.
interested in following. All right, everyone. Thank you for hanging out today. Thanks for spending time with us. It was an amazing and life-giving show. We're going to be back here next week with painter Jasmine Raskus, who actually just released a podcast that I was on. So there'll be some links to that on our Instagram here coming up. But again, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Thanks to Kelly and Alejandro. You can check out their work with the links that I put in the chat there. Definitely give them a follow and keep up with what they're doing because it's amazing. And until next time, thank you for being here, and we'll see you again soon.